Hey all you Bay Area hikers. Well, this is Michael with Bay Area Hiking Guides, giving that information, that knowledge to go out there and hike with confidence. And in this video, we're going to be talking about blue oaks. We're going to kind of go deeper into understanding blue oaks, and as well as some of the blue oak ID. Kind of, what the heck do they look like? Where are they? And little things and interesting stuff that you can know about blue oaks that'll help you kind of understand and determine what conditions you're going to be dealing with on hikes during the years. Alright, stay tuned. Okay, now before I start, I do want to talk about a particular topic because I know a lot of you are familiar with what had happened with Philip, and I just want to take a moment for letting you know he's really a lot of love and blessing to his family. I can't even imagine what they're going through, and let's take a moment of silence for the passing of Philip. All right. It's beautiful. The valley oaks and stuff are just kind of giving a little bit of a breeze and rustling their leaves a little bit when I said that. So they're showing their respect too. I didn't know Philip. But I want a lot of you to kind of reflect on everything that happened. And I want you to learn from it. Even though it wasn't involving you or those that, volunteered their time, and we appreciate I appreciate all the effort and the time that the fire department spent, and the sheriff's department, and the city of Pleasant Hill, all those volunteers, people using their drones and everything they possibly can to try to find this guy. And I want you all to try to sit back and look at this and learn from this, because water is a key essential importance when you hike. And not having that, or only bringing so little, can really do some real damage. And things can go from I know where I'm at to I have no idea where I'm going and I'm very disoriented real quick. Efforts that went into finding him, it took as long as it did, and he was under a tree. Unfortunately, it's very unfortunate. But with all the efforts that took place, from helicopters to drones to the thermal and all that stuff, it took weeks for him to be found. So it doesn't take much to go wander off, disoriented, rest by a tree, and have your final closing of eyes, and for it to take that long for somebody to find you. So always leave a note where you're going, how you're going to get back home, have enough water with you, understand, have a map, get a very good understanding of where you're going. Even if it's an area like Pleasant Hill, where he was, up there in Pleasanton Ridge, close to homes, how close he was to homes, even that, you want to be safe. It's very, very important. So I want you all to kind of reflect from what happened and learn from it. All right, everybody, well, welcome back. I'm sorry it's been a while since I posted a video. I actually made this video before, but there was some complications, so I'm redoing the video all over again. We don't need to get into that. We need to be talking about blue oaks. So I'm here on the east side of Mount Diablo, as Jeremiah Morgan used to say, the morning side. Again, in this video, I kind of go through a little placard they have here talking more about them. Blue oaks are real fascinating to look at, to view, to enjoy, and there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with blue oaks that a lot of us don't even realize. As you can see behind me, there are some blue oaks, actually some that are starting to fall off that cliff there, as nature's consistently changing and water is moving around and shifting a little bit. That can cause more erosion within the cliffside, and then the trees say, okay, well, that's it. So as the environments are changing, the oaks are doing the same thing. They're adapting, shifting, and they're keeping along with that cycle as they go through the cycle of life. This is a real cool area to go to check out, because I see a lot of bobcats over here. So it doesn't get a lot of attention, doesn't get a lot of people to come over here and check out. It's kind of fun. So we're going to get more into blue oaks, and it's a little different than the valley oak, a little different than the black oaks we have here. Let's get more into that as I'm going to hike up a little higher up, just a ways. Alright guys, let's go and find more about blue oaks. Okay, so I'm up here just 50, 100 feet more higher up. And we're definitely on the east side of Mount Diablo. And I'm running into a nice group of blue oaks. Yeah, there's also some bays, and as well it might look like a
native California black oak. Might have to check that out.
As well, which is really cool, we have some bigger blue oaks. One of them, unfortunately, has moved on and transitioned into the earth. Blue oaks are master chemists. And I do not use the word master that often. It's one that I'm very careful with how I put that into my dialogue. We've heard Tyler talk about the oak galls, another fascinating subject. They are really good at making galls. As a matter of fact, I actually found a really unique gall, or one that was unique to me, that was red. And it wasn't a starburst, but it had all this hair on it and stuff. It was really cool, and I can't wait to show you guys that. And it was on one of the bigger bluer oaks down there. They have a large diversity of the oak galls, one of the largest diversities. They're creating all kinds of different types of galls for different types of gall wasps. And as well as much as the gall wasps also have a part to do with that, it's not just the oak. They're both working together there. And, the egg and the chemistry coming together, as Tyler had mentioned. Check out that video. I'll leave that down below in the link. They create a very, very large diversity of that, the gall stuff going on. So that requires a lot of chemistry with not only the gall wasp, but also with the oak. Oaks are extremely unique. They are very unique, very, very complex, just as an individual ecosystem in themselves. They're doing all kinds of interesting things, and they can be, at times, very difficult to ID. It's not something that you basically look at when it comes down to oaks, and it's not just IDing blue oaks, it's IDing the whole oak kingdom. That whole Fagaceae family that they have within the oaks is really difficult to ID. Even the masters, the people that spend time, got PhDs and spend tons and tons of time researching and learning about oak trees, there's times that they get stumped. So that's what's really unique about oak trees. Now, the blue oaks have that kind of bluish tint going on within the leaves, and you can usually see that from a distance, but that's not always the case. Sometimes it'll look a little bit more greener, and sometimes it doesn't even appear to be having that blue at all. Now, could it be some hybridization that's going on within a valley oak and a blue oak? Very, very possible. That could definitely be the case. Now, oaks are in sections. Now, if you're getting too confused or you're falling asleep, I understand. I've been there. Many, many days of me falling asleep on the recliner in my family room, passing out with an oak book in my hand, trying to read the best I could and trying to understand this wisdom and complexity. All right, well, we're getting a little carried away. But they're all within sections, and I'm not going to get too much into the ringcup oaks, which they're all broken into sections. So we have the white oak section, which is your valleys, your blue oaks. Come on, I know I'm missing some. Oh, Garyana. And then you have a red oak section, not to be confused with the red oak that we get in the East Coast, or the scarlet oak that we get in the East Coast. God, this is so much fun. The red oak section sections off the red oaks. So your black oaks, of course, your scarlet and red oak in the East Coast, but you're going to get your black oaks, your coastal live oaks, all those guys. So, and then you also have your golden oaks, or intermediate oaks, and that would be your canyon oak, which a lot of people don't talk about too much. And then you also have your island oak, which is down there off the coast of LA, so that would be those Channel Islands. Cool oaks, and they're only in those islands, so you might want to check those out. I got to do that eventually. And they're all broken down in sections. Now, the sections do not hybridize within each other if it's a different section. If a red section were not hybridized within a a white section. They only hybridize within their section. So hybridization is just like you go when you go to the grocery store. You're like, hey, you know what? This looks pretty cool. It's a pluot. Hey, Nancy, pluot. You know, if you got that going on, and you're like, hey, yeah, it's got an apple and a plum put together. Oh yeah, they're doing the same thing. We just have nothing to do with it. Now plants do this all the time, but oaks, they've been doing it for a long time. It goes back way back, 35 million years plus. Now, I'm sure that it takes quite a long time for them to have these discussions and deciding what they're going to do for the next generation and the next generation after that. Kind of like they got in the Lord of the Rings. Right, Tyler? I'm going to just kind of mainly go on to red oak section and the white oak section. I actually have some samples at home. The best way to ID an oak is by the acorn. And unfortunately, they only come out once a year, depending on the oak. Black oaks, which we'll talk about later, are 2 years, unless it's further south, then it's a little different. It's a year and a half or a year. But with blue oaks, it's every year. They're putting out, and the acorns are ripe and ready to go. And by looking at the acorn and the cap of the acorn, you can determine what's the best way to ID. And sometimes all the animals and critters and all that good stuff have taken all the acorns. Oh no! But in the fall they'll come back, and you can check them out while you're out there and on your adventure. Okay, so we're going to go through some of the acorns and then the leaves of the blue oak. I realized within my samples I only got one leaf from the blue oak. But just real quickly, I'm going to show you the difference between a blue and a valley. And we'll go through that real quick. I usually collect these on the street and stuff. This is a valley. It's actually got some oak galls on there too. Right there you can see the little dots. So many different types of oak galls. This is a valley, and you can definitely tell this by the fact it's got that round surface at the top, where Garryanas kind of have more of a point, but we're not talking about Garryanas today. And then the leaves have got a nice lobe around it. Quercus lobata, mini lobes. And you can see the lobes around there, and that's pretty distinctive for a valley. But leaves are pretty tough to ID for valley oaks. Now I'm going to do a whole video all by itself on valleys, but I kind of just want to show you the difference in the acorns, because some people can get a little confused. This was from up the house a little ways on the street. I found it just really cool. A bunch of galls came out of here too. But this is a valley. And one big reason you can tell is it's got all those bumpy surfaces on it. When there's a bunch of bumps, the blue will have it as well, but when there's a bunch of bumps on it, that's in the white oak section there. That's a big indicator for being in that white oak section for sure. And then valley has the longer acorn, and definitely one of the biggest acorns we have, if not the biggest. But that's a valley. So I just wanted to kind of show you that that's a big difference compared to this. So you can see the comparison there. Pretty different in the comparison for sure. So let me go ahead and put that lobata back in there so don't get too confused. I have all these at home, and I write on them and stuff. This is all from my own personal research. So this is the blue oak. Now these caps are generally pretty small. They can vary from different little sizes, but this is from the blue oak. And once again, it still has those bumps on the surface. Cap right here. And this too has got the bumps on it too as well. There's some of those bumps. And it does kind of have like a little bit of a shingled appearance to it, but yet again, it's not it's still got those bumps on there. So that's how I tell white oak section and these little acorns, pardon my hands. These little acorns are definitely different within size. I love those little points on it. It's like the tree's way of penetrating that soil. And then the leaves, so here's a blue oak leaf, and you can tell that there's lobes still, but those little, there's barely any lobe really, and then it's just, it doesn't go all the way in there like the lobata does. But like I said, that hybridization can take place between these two, and it can start getting really confusing. But the leaf is significantly smaller, and it does not have those deep grooves in it that go to the actual vine or spine of that leaf. So a pretty significant difference within them. And let me kind of just show you just a real quick example of something that would be in the red section. I have some eastern samples too, but I'm going to give you something that's native here. Okay, so this is my 32-33 sample, which means markers in a loney. Don't just go around stealing acorns from places. You're not supposed to do that. I know it's very bad, but I'm using it for educational purposes, so it's a win-win. I always ask the trees before I take anything. A black oak sample here, and you can tell there's a different, significant difference within the acorn. It's a little bit more whiter, but the biggest difference that I'm seeing here is the acorns. So that's really what I'm looking for there, where you can get your fingernail in there real easily. I don't know if you guys can see that, but really easily. And that's what I'm looking for right there. There we go. That's clear. So that's what I'm looking for right there. And that's got those kind of type of ridges on it that are significantly different than compared to that. So it's a lot more bumpy and it's not shingly. Okay, it's got those bumps on there. So that's the difference between the white section. This would be white section, that bumpy kind of surface. And the red section, which would be that shingly where you can literally get your fingernail caught up in those little shingles on the cap. 233. You guys continue on with the video and enjoy. And then you can kind of determine from the bark a little bit, and you can see here in this video the bark tends to be more of a shingle kind of look. It's also got that white color to it, and within the Gary oaks and the blue oaks and the valley oaks, they tend to have that white bark. Stuff that's green next to it, that's all lichen. That's a whole nother world all by itself. You can spend years studying lichen and not get any, barely get anywhere. I mean, that's a vast, vast story all by itself. But we're not going to talk about lichen. You can tell that it's shingles and it's more come together, where a valley oak kind of has that deepening to it. They have like an alligator's skin. When they get bigger, fall, their canopies will kind of go down a little bit, and they'll hang their canopies down. And I've even seen it where the limbs are literally on the ground. It's really cool. It's almost like, coming to grandma and hoping she bakes some cookies for you. Now, with the acorns, when they drop, the acorns will tend to, blue oaks tend to have a better success rate. It's usually about 4%. So you got to think and imagine the thousands of acorns that these things are dropping out. You're hiking out there in the fall and you're enjoying a nice autumn evening with your loved one or your family, and you're looking at all these acorns that are falling all over the ground. With all those acorns, only about 1 to 2% succeed, let alone go to their own sapling. The rest goes to the community around it. That's pretty giving. But with blue oaks, the success rate's more like 4, and they tend to grow a little faster. Not fast like a redwood, but they do grow a little faster than the other oaks we have around here. They love to kind of be more clustered together, so you'll see a bunch of blue oaks together Not where it's just one solo oak all lonely up on a hill somewhere. Oh, kind of like the valleys like to tend to do. They seem to be more together in clusters. Not to say that they don't like all the other trees, but they tend to do this successfully so they can all work together, take the nutrients down below, bring it up, help together, tap into water taps down below, and have a better success by working together as a unit. That doesn't mean valleys are a bunch of losers and they're not doing it correctly. It just means they have a different way of doing things that seems to be working out just fine for them. Oaks are consistently adapting. They're consistently getting smarter within the environment, and they're consistently adapting to new changes within the environment. So they're always learning. That's a lesson that we can all learn within ourselves. We all kind of get stuck on, well, I'm the smartest person in this room and I've got it all under control. Ask me anything. When we kind of get into that mindset, we think that there's just an end to everything and you're smarter than everybody because you drive a Lamborghini, because you have a big mansion, and the list goes on. But in reality, you're always learning, you're always adapting. Sometimes people will say to me, they'll go, Michael, you're like the master of the oak trees. No, I'm not. I only know really 3 or 4%, if that. I'm always learning. There's such a big, vast ecosystem going on with these oaks that I'm always learning and always learning new things, and the same should be applying to you. Always go out there, always learn more things. Also, to take this into account, when you learn from oak trees and you see all these larger oaks and stuff, look at some of the smaller oaks. If you can tell, we have some small ones down here, and then we have these larger oaks here. So I'm going to kind of try and point this out to you guys in just a second, but I want you to understand that if I've got smaller individual oaks, down here that are more juvenile, and then I've got the larger oaks here that have been around for a few hundred years, and you got this one here, these would be the elders, these would be the parents, these would be the grandmothers, right? So what is it teaching me right now? It's teaching me that they understand the importance of elders, of the grandmother, of people in their community, the tree community of the trees that are older, and learning from them, right? And as well as adapting from that information. So all this stuff is taking place. So when we go on Wikipedia, we go on Google, and we're like, yeah, man, don't worry about it, Grandma. I'll figure out whatever. I don't need to hear your information. And you're just, you're Googling or whatever you're checking out, and you're Googling an information, or you're going on Wikipedia. That information is within our elder community. They might have information that you can't find on Wikipedia, that you can't find anywhere else. So it's just an important lesson for us to understand that we can learn from our elders just like the oaks do, because they are a source of information that we can apply in our lives as we move forward, and for our children and our children beyond that, okay? So when you're hanging out with Grandma or you're hanging out with an elder, try to do your best. I've had, times where I get on my phone too, but to not get on your phone, and really when they're opening up to you and they're talking to you, just like these oak trees do, spend time to listen. Spend time to ask questions, because there's something you might learn from them. Thank you so much for checking out the channel. Really do appreciate it. You guys have been phenomenal. We've got 1,010 subscribers. I didn't even think I was going to get to 1,010 subscribers. That's just amazing to me. That's just really, really special. I really, really appreciate that. It just makes me want to continue this channel. All you guys have been major supporters. And I've learned so much from not only from researching stuff, but also from you guys as well. It's been fantastic. So thank you so much, and I'm gonna keep it going as much as I can here. You guys are so patient with me. I haven't had anybody come to me and say, "What the hell's going on here?" I appreciate all the feedback, all the support that I've been getting, not only from my clients, but also from you guys as a community. It's been a marvelous journey, and I continue to learn so much more and continue to make these videos as we move forward. Well, you all take care. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Love you. Hey, all right, you guys decided to stay and learn a little bit more about Jeremiah Morgan. Well, let's get started. first settler of this valley, born in Cherokee Nation, Alabama. 1818, died in Morgan Territory, California in 1906. Wow. So he died pretty much during the fall of San Francisco in that lovely fire they had. It killed so many and destroyed a lot of structures. Anyways, that's another history lesson all by itself. Traveled in California, gold country in 1849, soon discovering that he could earn more money hunting wild game to feed fellow miners than hunting gold ore. That's interesting because the news, that was all shifted around the United States, sending people from the east to the west, said different. Big massive gold blocks. Returned to Iowa farm, and in April 1853, family journeyed to California by wagon train. That's serious. By September, built a home and began farming on 160 acres in Ignacio Valley. It's nice they have this rock here. While hunting, came across forested wilderness and east flank of Mount Diablo. The morning side of the mountain, as he called it. Well, that pretty much sums it up. By October 1857, claimed a large block of land, erected redwood barn granary, which you'll see in a little bit, and two-story, that's pretty much the barn that I erected the, hold on here. That's the barn that I have in the video when I talk about the blue oaks. In the beginning. Red Oak Barn, granary, and two-story house a mile north of this spot. And in August 1858, he began raising horses, cattle, sheep, and pigs. Also hunted deer, grizzly bear, which if you want to know more about grizzly bear, I recommend checking that information out because they were very, very prominent here. And elk to support his wife, Sarah Hillis Morgan, and their 16 children. Wow. I don't know how she was able to hold herself up. God, women were tough. My God. He raised cattle and pig and all kinds of... What about children? My, oh gosh. Man, I don't think they had Craigslist ads back then to hire for help. They had to do it other ways. Man. Whew. So 16 children. After Sarah died in 1869. I wonder why. Married Louisa Riggs, if I'm saying that correctly, and had one more child. Acted as witness. So they had another child with this newer wife. Active witness of the mini settler claims and vigorously supported the one-room... Hold on, we got a car coming by. And vigorously supported the one-room Morgan Territory school. Probably to school all their kids. In 1989, the state Mount Diablo required 631-acre Morgan Territory ran for Mount Diablo State Park. So that's cool. In 1889, the state Mount Diablo. So this site, 20-acre Red Corral property, similar required in 2002. Yeah, all right, and it's dedicated June 8th of 2003. That's pretty cool, man. And they got the whole rock out here and stuff. It's stuff that people usually don't, recognize. Kind of looks like me. Although he doesn't have a ponytail, but he's got the whole beard going on. I don't have any kids, so I got a long ways to go to keep up with Jeremiah. Some people out there don't like history. You want to learn about history, you know why? Because it tends to repeat itself.